Okay, let's just bring it in here right quick so we can talk a little bit. We're not going to be using the targets right now. Gary just asked me to go a little piece on some physiology and a little bit about grip establishment. All right, pleasure and honor to be before you right now. Let's start with this. With any one of these techniques, it's great to go with an objective-based approach, all right? We talk about grip, which I like to talk about because I think it's the most foundational and important element within pistol craft, all right? That grip and grip establishment. Everything, if you don't have that down, nothing else matters, the ninja rolls or anything, all right? But with an objective-based approach, let's think this as a mnemonic that we have round one, okay, like the first round, and then we have round many, like thereafter, all right? So the objective with the technique, with grip establishment, is the first round. Let's think of the first round, that the shot gets on target, all right? The shot gets on target. That's natural point of aim. We want a grip and some kind of grip establishment where our first shot, just without even thinking about it, gets right where we're looking at. That sound fair? No matter how we get there, right? Second objective with grip establishment, is all the round many, all the rounds thereafter, all right? And that is recoil management. That the gun returns down to this consistent location, shot after shot after shot. That sound fair? That sound fair? So whatever it takes to do that is a good technique, all right? And as with any technique, we want it fungible, we want it robust. We want it to work in any environment, in any physical state we're in, any mental state we're in. Does that make sense? With any of these, and that means unwarmed up. So we can't be like, you know, shooting our threes before these techniques, everything, and that just goes for any technique, has to work unwarmed up, okay? That makes sense? All right, so with that objective-based approach, let's just go into a little bit of physiology, all right, as far as grip establishment, the muscular contractions which we take to establish a grip and achieve those objectives, and also, not to dilute here, but to get into trigger control manipulation, all right? Go ahead and put your right hand, your dominant hand up. If we have any softballs, we're all righties. Okay, interesting. Okay. So go ahead and let your lower three fingers kind of dangle down just like this, all right? Your trigger finger, your index finger extended substantially vertically. Just relaxed, okay? We're relaxed. Now what I'd like you to do, just for dear life, go ahead and do a rope style grip on your lower three fingers, all right? You can grab your thumb, okay? Or just kind of, but a very quick, kind of visceral kind of grip of your lower three fingers. Go ahead and come out and, okay. Do a few more kind of like quick contraction grips, which obviously can happen. Okay, go ahead and monitor yourself and observe others, please. And what do you notice when you bring your fingertips in that grip like that? Index finger kind of flexes, doesn't it? Interesting, right? And this is just our physiology. This is just how we're built as hairless apes roaming the earth. All right, we're built is in our flexor muscles, our fingertip muscles go back to one big muscle group back here. You know, just as we, you know, pick the ticks out of our hair and eat them as hairless apes roaming the earth, right? I mean, it's just how we're built. We tend to pick the berries and do everything like this with our muscles, and it work in unison to do that, all right? All right, so how do we have a good grip and have good trigger control? Because we know trigger control is to break the shot without moving the muzzle, but do you see an issue here right now with hard grip and what have you? Now some rules come out like, 60-40, like 60% here, 40% here, except when it's rainy, then 37% and 62, and then, you know, of course when you're this, you know, I mean, you can get to the, you know, massive of complexity, but let's keep our skills robust so we have something that works pretty much anywhere. So what I'd like to do, now this isn't a technique. I don't call this a technique, and it's not semantics. It's just this is more just awareness in how you're going to grip and engage the pistol, all right? Go ahead and put your right hand up, please. Here's your dominant hand again, okay? Now, instead of having a rope-style grip, all right, where you're bringing essentially the fingertips in, have an awareness of your knuckles, please. Just an awareness of your knuckles. Yeah, you can touch them tactily, okay? And we're going to pivot about those knuckles, okay? We're going to pivot, right? Pivot. Just about, not right here, but just right about your knuckles more. Kind of like a wave. Like goodbye, sympathetic response, co-contraction, okay, goodbye, okay? Yeah, just, and not, you know, and don't go too much, or because we don't have to move too much, you know, just emulate our next block here when we're gonna put the firearm in there, okay, the pistol. Now notice how the trigger finger is very substantially isolated from your gripping fingers. That makes sense? So we have an isolation now of our gripping fingers. So now we have an isolation of systems, which is a good thing. All right, now can we squeeze, and you can give yourself a little bit of love here on second knuckles with your left-hand thumb. If we squeeze, like kind of brace up and give a little bit of pressure there, like we squeeze back, we can have some isolation of our trigger finger, can we not? all right? So let's not call it a technique, like this new technique that can really change your whole system. Like just think of it of a muscular awareness, right? Only contract the muscles necessary to accomplish desired task, all right? So we're just pushing straight back. That makes sense? Makes sense? This will help with our objectives of returning the muzzle down. Okay, I got SIRT pistol here, got SIRT pistol. This will help with our objective of returning muzzle down to a consistent location, all right, with pressure in the front. But we won't have to bring our fingertips in the side to cause like that co-contraction up here in our trigger finger, right? Making it difficult to execute trigger control, all right? All right, all right. So with that, let's just go ahead and roll this into, go ahead, we're all safe, we all got SIRT pistols, okay? Let's not muzzle each other, but let's go ahead and pull your SIRT pistol out of your holster, kind of keep it in this kind of stool position, all right, all right? All right, go ahead and grab the pistol with your support hand, all right, just like this, kind of like a GRS, but just so you hold it with the muzzle, just not covering the front, all right? Go ahead and take your strong hand. I like to just go from the ground level here to build up our grip, all right? I know we're going to go very basic here, very basic. Take your strong hand and crash it in front. Yeah, it's like a jet crash. So you're really high in that tang, all right? This is a great way to all of you are probably going to instruct people at some time, so this is a great progression and grip. Roll the fingers in front. Roll those fingers in front with that high on the tang, okay? Now, don't bring your fingertips in. You don't really have to, right? Right? If we bring our fingertips in, we got friction, and does friction really, do we care about the side of the pistol? We don't. So we don't get an advantage of bringing our fingertips in. We don't get an advantage, and it's ultimately a liability of isolation of gripping muscles to trigger press. Make sense? Everyone tracking on that? All right, so we're high, boom, we pull. So now at this point, go ahead in front of your area, like about a yard out, 2 to 3 feet out. Just kind of go and rip off a few shots if you want, so as we have. And what I'd like you to do right now is have some awareness of pressure right behind your second knuckles and the lower 3 fingers, but not your fingertips coming in necessarily. All right? Now go ahead. Okay, so go ahead and bring it in really tight. Give me a really hard grip in there, like you're really pushing in. But notice I'm not bringing my fingertips in. I'm just pushing back. I call this like a C-clamp grip versus, giving credit where credit's due, a gentleman named Larry Yatch, who was a former SEAL, Naval Academy grad, really introduced this to me. And I really I've really adopted, it's give credit where credit's due, right? So I think it is an incredible way to isolate our trigger finger and maintain our objectives of grip. All right. All right, all right, all right. So there. Now what I'd like you to do, go ahead and just kind of shake it off a little bit. So we have a lot of trigger pulls today, so it's kind of nice to keep the flexor muscles loose, lubricated, blood flow. I'd like you to do the same thing, but now what I'd like you to do is do very rapid succession trigger pulls. Like blah, 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 blah. However many you want, like 6, 7, 10, all right? But it's as fast as we can, all right? Even right here, we can get some diagnostics of try to keep the laser not moving. All right, to isolate, to keep your trigger mechanics proper. So go ahead and establish grip, please. Extend out into the shade here, and go ahead and rip off about 10 shots as fast as you can. Good. Now really grip that. I've even kind of lowered my center of gravity sometimes, and I really want to grip, get low, kind of earthy. Good. Good. Now you may notice. Can I use your example here? I'll come on out here, please, a little bit. I'll turn it around like this, thank you. So now when you do this, you may notice this sympathetic response. Go ahead and do that grip as you did. And go ahead and give me like a few trigger pulls, please. Now there's a little bit of movement in here. Who cares, right? We can't, unless we really do some major surgery, which I don't advise, right? Within our muscles and separation and neurological and Neuralink and all that, if this moves, really who cares? Because if you go and flag this one, please. If we're in here, and those fingers move a little bit, it's really not a big deal. It doesn't compromise anything, Like one of the best shooters in the world, Dave Savigny, his thumb will move like this a lot when he does rapid shot drills, because the thumb moves as well. It's not a liability, right? The thumb's flagged out of the way, it just doesn't do any harm. That makes sense? That makes sense? Okay, thank you very much. So that's just a little quick plug on the grip. Any questions on that short block? All right, it's very, very basic, something to play with, all right, as shifting awareness of your muscle contractions as you have, fully extended single hand or what have you, okay? Any questions just on that block? No questions? Good, get it? Okay, what I'm talking is one roll this into this next real quick block, which is the most important element, and that is grip establishment. All right, grip establishment. I think this is highly, highly important. So let's go ahead and let's establish our perfect grip, but let's do this very methodically. All right, let's go ahead and crash in. Let's wrap in front. Okay. All right, we're wrapping front. Okay. Now we're just going to use this space right here, cozy, without muzzling each other. We can go from here to here. It's without full extension. It's not that. There's no compromise in that. Let's go ahead and roll around. Let's keep our thumb flagged and out of the way. All right. Let's look in a little bit here. So we don't get the thumbs in the way. Let's keep that thumb like a flagpole. Okay, like a flagpole. Notice this canal region here, please. Notice that you have this area right here. All right. One thing I noticed a little bit is a little bit of gappage with a few people, just when I was videoing. Okay. Probably best practice is to close that gap and with your support hand, your left hand in this crew, okay, have awareness of your base of your palm. If there's any place to have an awareness for functionality of your support hand, it would be this base of the palm area, this Pitherius region, what have you, of landing that first, okay, landing that first. As far as establishment, not our grip establishment we can get down, but for right now, for getting a really good grip, landing that first and then rolling your fingers around. If you're lucky and the ergonomics work well for your pistol, your second knuckles overlap and you fully envelop, all right? So you might want to find equipment like a P365, things like that, so where you have that engagement, all right? But if you don't, then I would go thumb to thumb first and lose that before I would compromise this gappage, okay? Second objective of grip, or an objective-based approach, is to return the muzzle down to a consistent location, yes? Well, this flesh right here in this rear quarter flank does tremendous actually in both objectives. It's great for returning the muzzle down in a consistent location, and believe it or not, it's great for the feel of this curvature for the first objective of placing the shot where we're looking at. There's a feeling, some proprioceptive reception in that base of your thumb as you establish the grip, which helps you align the pistol, believe it or not. That is why, in my belief, theory, a narrower grip, like the super compact guns, are more difficult to point shoot. Like I struggle. I try it like every morning with our pocket pistol. I just don't do it as well. I believe it's because our base of our thumb doesn't get any purchase in there. We don't get the feedback. It's hard to, you have no information to judge where the pistol is with respect to your body. Okay? So just take awareness of that base. Let's notice your grip was really good when we were shooting, like high and tight, right in there. Okay? Make sense? Make sense? Sure. Now you have this, really good grip, really good grip. What I'd like to do is interject. I learned this, get credit where credit is due. I learned this from, I forgot his name. There's credit out there in the ether to someone, okay? But chest squeeze, all right? What works incredibly well with grip and grip establishment is a little bit of chest squeeze. What I mean is like the old Schwarzenegger, like thing you put like this and you push it together. You work your chest, your pectoralis. You kind of like push together like that, like boom, a little bit of chest squeeze. Reason is, if you have just a little bit of chest squeeze, yep, come on here, partner. So, all right, so we got a good grip here. I'm gonna train like this, okay? We're not muzzling anyone, okay? We're on the range, but we're kind of doing real life with the cert now, right? We're not muzzling each other, but we're around each other. So I'm gonna ask you to go and extend out, partner. Go extend out. I'm gonna touch your upper chest right here, okay? Yeah, right here. Bounce a quarter off this shit. Kaboing, hard, okay? I test it like this. Why do I like chest squeeze right here? It tends to have a firm bedding, right? A very firm bedding right here. So when the boom goes off, it's pre-engaged, all right? All right, it's like pre-engaged, so it is less likely to flinch. And it has the benefit of our second objective of returning that muzzle down to a consistent location. Make sense? Chest squeeze, it tends to get the muscles out. It tends to prevent us from contracting unnecessary muscles, right? Which compromises our trigger control, everything else, all right? Chest squeeze, all right? Okay, good, thank you, sir. So the only thing I've said is, right now, is C-clamp and chest squeeze. Okay, is really what we're talking about, okay? Makes sense? Makes sense? All right? That is your perfect grip. Now, got one more block here, Gary, on just establishing perfect grip. Is that good? Okay. 4 minutes. What's that? 4 minutes, perfect. That's all I need. Okay, now, we talked about some thoughts on grip, maybe the orientation of the hands and such, all right? It's not the gospel, but I suggest you play with it. And remember, it's all about meeting those objectives. Okay, I can tell a quick anecdote about the Gula story, but I'll save that, all right? About someone may have funky, but if it works, then, hey, it works, it's consistent. Grip establishment. Okay, this is the punchline right here. Okay, how do we establish that grip very consistently? So here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're going to do. All I'm going to ask you, since we're tight and cozy here, is just kind of bend over a little bit and establish like, a perfect grip. All right, just kind of right in front of us. All right, we can do this like kind of tight like this, okay? Now, what we're going to do is kind of go from that tension. We got C-clamp, we got chest squeeze. Go from that to instant relaxation. That tension, that isostatic tension, to instant relaxation. On 1, 2, 3, relax. Good. Okay, that was really good. That was really good. Okay. Now, all I'm going to ask you to do is watch me first, and then you'll mimic. Okay? Is just kind of go back to, say, your holster. Let's say it's a 3 o'clock holster. Okay? Kind of just, you're going to naturally go back. Very relaxed muscles. You're not going to contort or do anything weird. You're just going to do it naturally as your limbs like. Kind of go back, kind of towards that holster, and be relaxed, and even relax this hand. We're not going to contort. And what is the last thing to engage the pistol with our support hand? What is the last piece of surface area to touch the pistol generally? Second knuckle on index finger. Yeah, correct. Yeah, second knuckle. So does it stand to reason? What would be the first thing to engage the pistol? Probably like right there, second knuckle. Okay. All right. Why do we do that? Real quick analogy. Let's say we're covering a 10 by 10 garden with a 10 by 10 tarp to kill weeds or whatever. We could throw it on there and go this way and eventually get it, but it takes time, right? We could establish grip by coming out here and doing this, but it takes time, right? Or we could touch one corner down with the tarp, stretch it out, and be done. Quick, right? One point of reference, it references everything else, we're done, right? Stands to reason. One thing I just noticed when I established grip, we're kind of coming out here a little bit. Something to try, something to play with, is get on a little bit sooner while you extend out. When you're establishing that two-hand grip, just a little bit sooner, right? Establish and extend out. Okay? That makes sense? That makes sense? All right? All right? And then your loose muscles as fast muscles, you extend out, and then you finish it off with that upper, that triangle, isosceles, chest squeeze, C-clamp, coupled with the prep and all that, which Gary will cover in the next block here. That's just a thought on grip establishment. Good, Gary?